I've noticed a difference between the days that I wake up and I don't give a fuck about what's going on. I'm super nonchalant. I'm not trying to be in control of anything. I am more so just taking what life gives me and only controlling what I can control and focusing on my day to day actions and ensuring that I have a positive attitude towards things. Versus the days where I wake up, I feel anxious. I feel like I've lost control of my life. I'm looking and I'm starting to compare myself to other people, and that will allow me to, or not allow me to, but it will put me into a negative thought loop spiral, really. And what will end up happening is I will basically beat myself up for not being where I think I should be. And I've noticed something. I've noticed that when I have this nonchalant attitude towards my goals, and I really just detach myself from the outcome itself, that's when I make the most progress towards my goals. And this is just something I've noticed. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will self sabotage themselves when they're trying to achieve their goals by thinking they can control every little aspect of their day to day or life in general. But you must realize that your goals will only be achieved when you truly let go, right? And this is something that I've noticed. I've seen a stark difference between the times. For example, when it comes to day trading, I've had a pretty good run recently. I was able to take 7K in payouts. And, that's when I detached myself from the outcome. I didn't really care about, the P&L too much. I just cared, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? I have the set plan. Am I following it on a day to day basis? And if the check mark was yes, usually it would be reflected in my results. I'd have positive results for that day or that week or that month. And then once I got those payouts, I realized that I self sabotaged myself. I went back into my negative thought pattern and I reverted back to my old habits, which caused me to blow a lot of those profits and, put it back in, give it back into the markets. Now, I was able to come to this realization that when I truly let go and I detach myself from the outcome, I make real progress towards my goals. And when I care too much about the outcome itself, and I think that I can control every little detail about life in general, that is when I feel the most out of control, I guess, right? I feel like I have no control. And I say all of this to say because I know a lot of people, they want to achieve their goals. They want to get X, Y, and Z. Maybe it's a material goal, maybe it's not a material goal. I don't know. But truly, when you let go and you detach yourself from the outcome, that is when you will see the most progression towards your goal. Trust me, this is when I guess you could attribute it to frequency. You're operating at a high frequency, and what will end up happening is instead of chasing, you will attract, right? So it's like, and truly, I know life is fucked. A lot of fuck shit going on right now. A lot of stupid shit. The world is going through some tumultuous times right now, and I know that, when you look at, for example, even you hop on your phone, you look at the news, or even just your day to day interactions, it's pretty bleak. It's pretty tumultuous. I'd advise you to stay off social media and just stop looking at the news because you'll start to realize, like, when you actually go outside and touch grass, bro, it's actually, we live in a beautiful world. And I know there's a lot of crazy things going on right now, especially with wars happening all over the world. But if you got a roof over your head and you got food to eat, brother, 80% of the world does not have that. So globally, you are actually doing better than 80% of the world if you have a roof over your head and you have food to eat. So just some perspective to give you guys, right? Now, the reason I even bring all of this up is because I want you guys to understand that in the external world, the outcomes, whatever is happening on a day to day basis, you can't really control any of those things. But what you can control is your perspective on things. And an example of this is a really easy example, and it's road rage, right? Let's say there's two people and they both get cut off by a crazy driver. I don't know. And we're not even going to give a reason for why this driver is driving erratically on roads, but he cuts off one of these guys, or he cuts off both people, and one person, they get mad and they allow it to consume their thought pattern. And maybe they decide, you know what, I'm going to cut this guy off since he cut me off, even though they got somewhere important to be. Maybe they got to go to work. Maybe they got to go see their girl. I don't know, man. They got something important to do. But regardless, they allowed what happened, the external, to mess up their flow state, or their current thought pattern, and allow the negativity to seep in. And what ends up happening is they'll cut each other off, and eventually maybe they get into a multi-car crash because of it. But now the other person, they also get cut off, but what do? They don't care. They're vibing to music, they're chilling in their whip. They can't even pay it no attention because guess what, they're unbothered by it. They don't really care about it. They think, oh, maybe that person's in a rush. they don't really pay too much attention to it, and because of that, their day is unbothered, right? And they go right back to doing what it is they got to do. They stay in a high frequency, right? They stay in a positive mindset, and they continue about their day. So same so it's the same scenario, but two different perspectives. And the perspective is what's very important here. You have to understand that the way you view things is the only thing that you can really control. You can't really control what ends up happening to you, but you can control how you think about it and what your next move is.